Rio de Janeiro Metro Line 4, Linea Amarela, is one of the largest and most complex projects of commuter transportation and urban mobility ever developed in the country. Running along about 16 kilometers, the line connects the neighborhoods of Ipanema in the south zone of the city to Barra da Tijuca in the west zone. The project introduced 6 new stations: Nossa Senhora de Paz in Ipanema, Jardim de Alá and Antero de Quantao in Leblon, Gávea, São Conrado and Jardim Oceânico in Barra da Tijuca, even though, as of November 2024, Gávea station remains incomplete. With the completion of the new segment, it is possible to go from Barra to the center of the city in just about 35 minutes. The project included 5.7 kilometers of underground tunnels without, however, resorting to detonation or digging of trenches on the surface along the city streets and avenues, thus minimizing the impact of the works on the life of the population. That was possible thanks to the tunnel boring machine, also known as TBM, measuring 11.46 meters in diameter, with 120 meters in length and weighing just above 2,000 tons. The TBM also enabled the execution of the work 4 times faster than by conventional methods of construction.
The construction of Line 4 of the Rio Metro is being executed by the concessionaria Rio Barra, which consists of 2 consortiums. One is the Consorcio Constructor Rio Barra, which is building the west segment between the Jardim Oceânico and Gávea, which is approximately 12 kilometers in length. The second consortium was established to execute Line 4 South and is responsible for the work between Ipanema and Gávea in the south zone of the city. The construction of this segment will involve the use of the TBM. Construction began in June 2010 and Line 4 was completed by 30th July 2016, in time for the Summer Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. At first, the line was only open to those with a ticket to events of the 2016 Summer Olympics and members of the Olympic family. It later opened to the general public in September 2016. The total project cost is 8.5 billion reais. 7.5 billion reais came from the state treasury, the federal government and financing, while 1 billion reais came from the Rio Barra consortium. To meet the needs of the construction of Line 4, 180 million reais had been invested in the purchase of equipment, among which the TBM. The option to purchase the fleet instead of leasing it from rental companies was due to the need for immediate availability of equipment and for fear of a lack of supply.
The greatest difficulty for implementation of the project lies in the 5.7 kilometers where the tracks cross in the south zone. According to Marcos Vidigao, contract director, the final route of the line is the result of a long period of study and analysis of different possible paths. In the study phase of this segment, around 3,000 documents were generated, among which were feasibility studies, geotechnical investigation, geological surveys, testing of water loss. 33 guidelines for the route were studied until the ideal path was reached. Parallel to this investigation and analysis, the funds Dow Getúlio Vargas performed feasibility studies to establish the ideal location for the stations. The stations are equidistant from each other and each has an area of influence. The idea is to make each station attract demand within a radius of 500 meters. It is almost impossible to build a subway line without causing some level of inconvenience to this public, no matter how much care you take to try to minimize it. In the case of Line 4 of the Rio de Janeiro Metro, the largest problem was concentrated at the existing station at Praça General Osório in Ipanema, while the rails of the new line will meet Line 1. To perform the integration of the lines, the station, which serves about 30,000 people daily, remained out of the service for about 10 months. The reason for the problem was that the station was not designed for an expansion of the system, as there was a lack of long-term planning. To ensure the connection between the 2 lines, it was necessary to build a tunnel linking the Cantagalo and General Osório stations, which was impossible to do while maintaining the circulation of the trains. Other big challenges in West segment were the blasting of large sections of rock for the excavation of the tunnels and the wide variety of soil types found in the route of the new line, which meant that different types of treatment and new adoption of various construction methods.
Respect for the environment was a very important point in the process of building Line 4 of Rio de Janeiro's metro. Before the explosions, the Rio Barra Construction Consortium determined the removal of over 2,700 specimens of the native flora, especially orchids and bromeliads that were found on the hillside. Among the specimens found, there were even rare examples. The consortium signed an agreement with the Botanical Garden for accommodation of the rescued species in the Science Institution's flower collection. The same concern was present in the installation of work sites and in the start of construction of the Nossa Senhora da Paz station in Ipanema and the Antero de Quintal station in Leblon. The design of Nossa Senhora da Paz was modified to reduce environmental impacts and to interfere as little as possible in the routine of neighborhood's residents. The new format and size of the underground station enabled the reduction of 860 square meters of excavation area, 15% less, and the conservation of the lake inside the square. It also enabled the preservation of the greatest possible number of trees. Of the 292 trees that existed at the site, 215, equivalent to 74%, remain untouched. Among them, the oldest one in the square, a century-old fig tree. In places where the removal of trees was inevitable, the consortium opted to transplant them to safe areas, observing even the original position of each tree in relation to the sun until they could be returned to the square at the end of the works.